Ladies and gentlemen, I have a very dire warning for the American people and really all members from all countries located around the world of what is coming next, not just to the United States, European nations, but the entire world. We're hearing a lot of talk about currency collapse in recent days. And two major events just occurred in the last 48 hours that I want to discuss. However, there's still a lot people are not extrapolating upon this and they're not seeing the bigger picture. Those two events are a complete currency breakdown of the westernized world. Not just the British pound, which has since collapsed and is near parity with the US dollar and probably goes much lower, but also the Japanese yen. And it is very important to note, although some have talked about this, I'm going to take you down another layer here, ladies and gentlemen, that no one else in the world has revealed. So make sure to share this video with your friends and family, like it, because it's literally critical to your survival and preservation of capital in the coming days, weeks, and months. Right after the Queen's death, and by the way, her face is on a lot of the currency around the world, notice that all of a sudden we're getting a currency collapse. The British pound and the pension system is insolvent in this part of the world. And so what the Bank of England just did is not surprising, but is astonishing in many ways. They've now accelerated and restarted their version of quantitative easing. The Bank of England just did this as the British pound collapses to its lowest levels that we probably are going to see in our lifetime. This means pensioners that depend on fixed income, retirees that have worked their entire life, putting their full faith and trust in a government that is now bankrupt and insolvent, just like here in the United States. And I'm going to get to this next. And so the Bank of England has now restarted their version of quantitative easing and bailouts, which again, this has been going on for decades now, into a hyperinflationary storm where real wage growth is collapsing. There is zero actual GDP growth around the world and negative real GDP growth actually occurring when you look at real interest rates and you look at the current state of affairs, the real numbers on paper. Because a lot of what we're given, ladies and gentlemen, are shadow stats. You know, they're not taking into account the full account of inflation. So the point is, inflation's not going to stop. Notice how the central bank and the Federal Reserve is raising and hiking interest rates into a world war, possibly. Vladimir Putin now successfully annexing, this is checkmate, I believe, 4 new territories in Ukraine, accounting for like 15, 20%-ish of the eastern and southern parts of Ukraine, have now become officially a part of the Russian Empire that will be defended, according to Vladimir Putin, with nukes, if necessary, tactical and possibly intercontinental ballistics. And in addition, other armaments of war. This could include electromagnetic frequencies, EMPs, pulses, and other types of new innovative technologies like AI warfare, which of course the Pentagon, DARPA, and our own forces here in the United States, not to mention many billionaires like Eric Schmidt, have warned about. Not just myself. So look at what the central bank is doing and look at how they're posturing this narrative. So we're already hearing that inflation isn't stopping, which I told you it wouldn't. It's going to continue no matter what the central bank does. As they've hiked rates, and like mortgage rates are now at 7%, they're hiking into hyperinflation. As they do that, that'll cause a recession, which now the media says we're in, but I would argue is a depression. So what is the Fed going to do? Here's the point. They keep hiking, cause an intentional recession, depression, cause an intentional currency crisis, then what's the next move? So let me tell you what the next move is. Currency wars always precede world war. I've said this literally for years. Currency wars, this is a truth and a fact, hard hitting and in your face, always precede world wars. So the US Federal Reserve Central Bank system, which is a scam, in my opinion, a Ponzi scheme. Okay, bailing out the too big to fail banks in 2008-09, spending billions of dollars of American taxpayer funds to fight the war in Ukraine that I would argue we're losing. Because again, Putin just took four new territories. That's checkmate. That's winning the game of Monopoly. Whether you like it or not, I'm not defending Russia. I'm not saying the elections aren't shams, but they're winning, dude. They're the ones holding the keys and dangling it in front of Zelensky's face. The central bank and the Federal Reserve, more importantly, the elites that are actually in charge, running this show, want the world to flock to the dollar temporarily. So notice how every currency that's not the dollar, British pound, the Japanese yen, we see this with even the Chinese renminbi, arguably, all the other currencies are collapsing while everybody in international funds are moving to the dollar. Basically the floatiest of turds in the toilet bowl, or the least dirty shirt in the hamper. Still trash, still hyperinflationary, still being printed into infinity, but it's a temporary shock move that the central bank intends. That they're the ones doing this. Keep in mind, they're the ones that shut down the world the last couple of years. They're the ones that took us all to a grinding halt. They're the ones that have printed all the currency, created the hyperinflation, and now they're the ones raising rates into a depression and a possible world war that they say is actually occurring, not me. So we're in a moment of time where the dam is about to burst. And the US dollar collapse, in my view, is now guaranteed, in my opinion. So what are they going to do? What are they going to do? They always need a scapegoat. It's Putin's fault. It's Putin's price hikes. It was 2008-09. You know, they never saw that coming. That's why they needed the bailouts. Of course, what happened over the last couple of years never could have been predicted. This is why they had to do all the PPP loans and create a giant wealth transfer for the elites and work from home, and no one's ever going to go back to the offices, yada, yada, yada. I foresee a couple possible scenarios. One is major currency crisis in a currency that is not the US dollar. This could be any currency in the world, any sovereign country or debt in the world, that will then be blamed for the collapse of the United States and the dollar. Also, other possible scapegoats, which are highly likely, are of course the threat of war, the threat of escalation with the militarization and 300,000 reservist troops being called up right now by Vladimir Putin. I think that kind of proves my point that this is an escalation. The 4 new territories have been acquired. This proves my point with the escalation. So it could be through the guise of war, of course, that they blame the imminent collapse of the dollar. But again, this is all by design. Notice how everything's falling into alignment, just like I said it would over the last several decades. Like years ago, people were like, well, how are they going to collapse the dollar, Chris, and move us into blockchain technology and CBDCs? How is that even possible? They're not going to be able to do that. But look at it now. Look at how all the chess pieces have been carefully positioned. Currency crisis, shutdown of the global economy, hyperinflation, no growth. The Queen dies, the British pound collapses. It's at parity, if not going negative against the dollar. War in Ukraine, spiraling out of control into a nuke event. So all this propaganda that they've been putting in your faces, for example, I was thinking about this last night on the nukes, the nuke fears. The nuke fears is a psychological propaganda tool for the nuke that's going to go off in the currency markets. Okay, so this is actually what you really should be paying attention to is the dollar. Sovereign debt will collapse here in the United States. Real purchasing power will collapse. Pension funds, like they're failing in the UK, will fail in the United States. Social welfare programs will fail by design and intentionally to lead the horse to water to all the things I told you that they're going to do. Transfer the new system of CBDCs, institute universal basic income for the paupers and the newly minted feudal society, which they've created, which has been caused by basically all their policies that they've implemented, not to mention these wars. I mean, again, what are Americans getting from the Ukraine war? Debt, sanctions, 2 pipelines bursting, out with Nord Stream 1 and 2, Europeans now freezing through the ice cold winter. How is this winning? Oh, this is losing, ladies and gentlemen. You're losing. Americans are losing. Our borders are wide open. We have political chaos in the United States. Your dollar's worth nothing. Interest rates now that are being hiked into a depression, mortgage rates at 7%. Your purchasing power has now been cut in half when it comes to food, water, energy, and also housing and all the key materials that you need for life. Who's winning again? Not you. You're not winning anything. You're less free. You're less wealthy. You have less tools at your disposal. And the list can go on and on. So I see a lot of people talking about this narrative of the currency crisis, okay? But a lot of this is a fear campaign of propaganda, again, to brainwash the low-level brains around the world so they can give you the solution that I just described to you. What is that solution again? Blockchain technology, CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, a new system of order worldwide. And you know what I mean by that. And then universal basic income and social welfare for a new feudal class that they built. And this is the new world. This is the new world. It is a world, and this is the hardcore truth, where America loses, and I'm not happy about that, and the American people lose. The big question and the elephant in the room, of course, has been my primary mission, delivering these messages and thousands of videos around the world, reaching over 1 billion views since I've been doing this, has been to prepare. It's been to get out of the dollar. If the dollar's going to zero and the collapse is imminent, you got to get out of the banks. You got to get out of dollars. You got to look at alternatives. You got to look at different stores of value. So what's going to benefit from this collapse? All engineered by design. The stores of value, the things outside the system, things that actually produce cash flows or actually hold a store of wealth outside of sovereign debt, a collapsing bond market, and a system that I would argue is rigged by design and is factually failing in parts of the UK, the Bank of England, of course, their pension system, and the failure and the gross atrocities of failures here in the United States. You got to get out of the system. Bitcoin is going to be a beneficiary. Land and real estate is going to be a beneficiary, especially land and real estate that produces cash flows. Food, water, energy, all the materials and sustaining items that you need to survive. I mean, even look at like weather events, like what's going on in Florida, how all those key items are needed. You know, food's never going to go out of style. Prepping is never going to go out of style. But my main point in this video is that we are now at a threshold in the American, domestic, westernized world, and this includes European nations, where the currency markets are going to blow up. And they're going to blow up not by accident, but by design and with complete and utter 100% intention, in my opinion, of central banks and their policies to drive the ultimate solution of the reset, which they tell you they're going to do, to move people in lockstep by creating baseless fear propaganda and weaponizing the hearts and minds of the people on the ground that aren't intelligent enough or ignorant to not think for themselves and understand the real policies behind all these tools that are being utilized and used to send people all the way over to this new system. And I've said this for years, since 2008 and 09, that this is all about creating a new system. The old system, which is bankrupt, destitute, and is that turd spiraling the toilet that's about to be flushed, will be reset into a new one. And they'll just change the rules because those in power dictate their own terms and policies of how the global economy is designed. And this is a world of less sovereign states, less sovereign people, and in terms of your money and your hard-earned assets, a lot less wealth and a lot less freedom. At the end of the day, what wealth is, and even what money is energy and it's freedom and it's your ability to make choices. So we are in a very dangerous calamity right now. And I would expect in the coming months a major currency to collapse, temporarily the dollar, like it already is, benefit from that, and then eventually we're going to have a run on the dollar. The dollar's going to blow up in the United States. It's absolutely going to be destroyed. Politicians will then come on camera, and every mainstream media outlet will tell you that the solution to the collapse of the old system is the new one that they created. And what is it going to be? We already know. I'm not even going to repeat it. We know what it's going to be. CBDCs, the digitization of asset classes, moving into blockchain technology, universal basic income, and also other social welfare programs around the world. And just like in 2008-09, they printed trillions and provided their short-term Band-Aid to a gunshot wound, they're going to do the same thing, but magnify it 1,000 times worse than they did before. Get ready, guys. Get ready. You know, I'm not the only one talking about this. However, I'm the only one taking you down much further in the gap, so to speak, to explain why this is occurring. All the other pundits are just telling you on the surface, well, it looks like the currencies are collapsing and is at the end of the dollar. That's a part of the propaganda fear that they're going to use to push you into the new system. Again, this whole repeat of nukes that you keep hearing, and we'll probably have an event like that, is really psychologically brainwashing and in relation to the nuke that's going to go off in the currency markets. Just like George Soros profited in the billions of dollars shorting the sterling British pound, the same thing is going on now. So this is a transformative, permanent shift, permanent event that's going to change all of our lives. Tuning in. Get ready. Get prepared. I got a link below today. I encourage you to take advantage. Join us at school. I've got a promo code for that, bitcoinrich.com. Learn how to get your money out of the banks right away. Do it now. We've got a $200 saving if you get in today at bitcoinrich.com. There's a little link with an Island Project promo code. I've got other links to the club, etc. For those of you that want to get into that, just get in. Get into bitcoinrich.com. Watch my recent content. Learn how to take protection over your own money, at least diversify a little bit. Get out of the banks before capital controls and the currency reset and the collapse of the dollar, which I believe is imminent here in the United States. There's not a lot of time. There's going to be capital controls in my view. There's going to be war. And there's going to be fear, panic, and hysteria. God forbid. I hope, that doesn't happen. But look at how they're pushing. They want that. The only way they're going to objectively qualify the solution and the American people are going to allow them to reset the new system is through pain. Pain, suffering, heartache, hardship, and wealth destruction. So people say, they're like, Christopher, why are you always selling me on something? It's not a sales pitch. I care about you guys. I don't want you to lose your ass. I don't want you to have your money locked up in a US bank during a dollar collapse. I don't want you to be on the losing end of capital controls. I want you winning. I want you free. I want you liberated. I want you building new ecosystems and alternatives and parallel economies like the Island Project. Thank God we have the digital Noah's Ark. Thank God that he's put me in charge to build something like that. To save people, not that I'm going to save you for your salvation or anything like that, only Jesus will, but to save people from the economic financial hardships ahead. And that's the primary reason why I do what I do. So I'm just telling you from the bottom of my heart, what's coming will be worse than anything you've ever seen. And we are very, very close. And every pundit's talking about it for a reason and parroting the same narrative because this is the plan. And you better trust that plan. You better bet your butts this is what's coming. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Christopher Greene. Click the link below. Make sure you register at school today. Share this video around the world. Get it out. And then just leave a comment. Hey, if you think I'm wrong, let me know how I'm wrong. Because I guarantee you this is going to happen in the coming months. It's a guarantee. All by design. Trust that freaking plan. And then the movement into the number one opportunity in the world right now, which I keep telling you about, is blockchain, the digitization of assets, private walleting, cryptocurrencies, learning, investing, building things like the Island Project, and building new systems, which are the new America, outside of sovereign states that no longer exist. So you declare your own sovereignty today. You declare your own freedom. You liberate yourself. You create the cash flows. You turn your mindset around into productive actions that you control. Maintain your hope and faith in our King and build something really cool and expand your mind. Think and grow. BitcoinRich.com. Links below. It's Friday. It's a blowout sale. Get in. Save the $200. I'll read your name out in the next video. And then please like and share this. I certainly appreciate it. And let me know your thoughts and comments in the box below.